The very biggest and strongest trucks and tractors in America have come here to Cincinnati's Riverfront Coliseum to measure power against power. This is the Budweiser United States Hot Rod Association Truck and Tractor Pull. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Kurtz, along with our hot rod expert, Mike Galloway, Riverfront Coliseum, Cincinnati, Ohio. And let's start right at the very beginning. What is a truck and tractor pull?
It's a true power game, Bob, as the contestants will come out and hook to a 60,000-pound weight transfer machine. This is 190 foot of track. It's 30 foot wide, a very good clay track, and the one that pulls it the furthest in the competitions tonight's the winner.
Well, the competition tonight includes two classes, starting with the trucks.
Modified trucks, they weigh 6,200 pounds. They're one motor. They're naturally aspirated, no cubic inch limitation. It should be a very exciting class.
Fun aspect of the show, the exhibition vehicles.
We've got some great exhibition vehicles. We've got the four-wheel drives, the two-wheel drives, wheel-standing vehicles. Truly a good cross-section of some of the best exhibition vehicles in the nation.
And then, of course, the big horsepower, the tractors.
Oh, the modified tractors, triple engine, over 3,000 horsepower. They'll have tire speeds of close to 100 miles an hour. Truly a great evening for competition.
So put in your earplugs and stay with us. This is the Budweiser United States Hot Rod Association Truck and Tractor Pull.
Brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beer. For all you do, this Bud's for you.
Welcome back to Riverfront Coliseum here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We're all set to get the pulling competition underway. I'm Bob Kurtz along with Mike Galloway, and we'll start with the 6,200-pound hot rod modified truck class.
6,200 pounds, no cubic inch limitation, one motor. It must be naturally aspirated. And naturally aspirated, in very simple terms, meaning that you can't pressurize the fuel system. No turbochargers, no superchargers in this class. One that pulls the furthest in the class is the winner. The first puller is the only man that can go to the sled and has an option of pulling the sled all the way down the track and then changing and going back at a later date. That reason being, he's the first puller in the class. He hasn't seen anyone on the track. Has no idea what the track conditions will be or how fast the weight will come up at the box.
So is it an advantage to go first, or would you rather go later?
In a track conditions like we have here tonight, I would personally like to go into the class first tonight. It's a good, solid track with a lot of traction.
Gerald Allman is the first puller from Pocahontas, Illinois. He's driving Southern Belle. We're just about set to get underway.
572 cubic inches of Chevrolet. This is a beautiful truck. Greg says the first 50 feet is the secret in this pulling. You get that momentum going in the first 50 feet, it'll take you all the way out to the end. Let's see what happens. A full pull. Right out the gate, the man ran the left-hand side of the track. He left the starting line area, took the sled to the left-hand side of the track, took his traction right out the gate. Full pull, and what a way to start a tremendous evening of competition.
Well, here comes Joe Gilbert's MOTOWN missile, the current champion, U.S. Hot Rod Association.
He's the 1986 national champion, and Joe and Ruthie Gilbert make their home in Gaines, Michigan. They run a auto repair shop there, and their young son, Tim, and I say young, he's 21 years of age, and Tim's taking over the driving controls tonight for the MOTOWN missile. The truck has been in competition about 6 years. I'll tell you this much, he is a very, very tough competitor. He's young, he's only been in the truck about 5 times, but he's been with his father since the truck was built, and watch this young man, he's a premier puller.
Full pull.
Oh, and a beautiful job. But one thing about it, they're using the whole track. The 50,000 pounds of the sled is traveling all the way to the top. They're using all the momentum of the sled.
We're going to get another look at this one, Mike.
Now watch as Tim leaves. He's hard on it right out of the hole. And here's a good chance to take a look at the weight transfer machine as it moves right on up.
That's a six-pack of Budweiser.
Right. And you see Tim having a little bit of problem right out of the hole, but he finds a place to run. He's running in the middle of the track. He's heading for the finish line. He knows he's got to get there to get in the pull-off situation, and that's where he does it right there.
Mike, you come to one of these pulling competitions, this is the first thing you notice, the weight transfer machine.
This is true. The big six-pack of Budweiser, as you see, is rolling right up over the rear tires. At this point, it's a rolling weight. But as soon as it leaves those rear tires and transferring that weight onto the pan, it becomes a dragging weight. The further you pull it down the track, the further that six-pack climbs the ramp, transferring it from a rolling weight to a dragging weight. It's putting down pressure. It's causing friction. The vehicles will either run out of horsepower or run out of traction.
There's the Stomper, Bob King, Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, all hitched up.
This is a beautiful 1986 Chevrolet truck. Bob and Linda King make their home in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, and they run King Super Tires. He has a full assortment of tires and also has a lot of pickup accessories. So the pickup pulling becomes a natural for this young man.
Like he's going to wind up a bit shy of 190 feet.
Well, a beautiful job for the Stomper truck, but the horsepower to the ground combination would not come around tonight, and he'll end up on the short end of the pull. Bob rolls out, gets into the 572 cubic inch Chevrolet motor real hard. You'll notice the front tires kind of weaving a little bit, doing the best he can to keep all the traction on the ground, and he's got it hammered right down the middle of the track.
Now here's the result of the Stomper, just over 195 feet. We talked about this being a sport of inches, Mike. And this is the second one that has just missed going for the full pull. More action in a moment, so stay with the Budweiser United States Hot Rod Association Truck and Tractor Pull.
These days, it's getting harder and harder to find good places to hunt. That's why I joined the National Rifle Association. And I got David...
Columbia City, Indiana, driving the Mind-Boggler.
Good-looking 1972 Chevrolet truck with a fuel-injected Chevrolet motor. Daniel is in the very good-looking Mind-Boggler truck with a big Chevrolet motor in it. He's a factory worker by profession, truck puller by hobby, and does a fine job.
Again, has to go the full distance to qualify for the pull-off. And dreams there, Mike.
3 trucks have qualified for the pull-off, and a Mind-Boggler will try to do the same.
Mind-Boggler looked like he was battling for traction all the way down the track, Mike, and winds up short.
The motor never came up. When he left the starting line, you want the RPM on the engine to reach a maximum at that point. Right after you leave, the motor should peak and keep the RPM up until the sled comes on it. The motor never built the RPM to get the momentum to bring the truck down and put it out for a full pull.
Mike, and noticing when the truck backs up and hooks up to the sled, it's hooked there with 2 chains.
The top chain is where the actual pulling takes place. 6 inches below that hitch is another hitch with a chain in it. If for some reason the top hitch should break or the top chain should break, the second chain will take effect, stops the truck dead in the water. Now, if both of them was to break, you'll look at there's a small cable. If the truck was to come unhooked from the sled, the cable will disconnect from the truck. It will automatically kill the engine. Does not stop the progressive motion, but it kills the motor and hopefully lets the driver retain control.
Well, here's Lex CAMESI out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the Iron City Express.
This is one of the big, bad shotgun Hemi Ford motors, and these motors were built a number of years ago to be used on the NASCAR track. NASCAR racing banned the motors, and now they've found a home in the full world. This is one tough Ford truck out of Iron City Express. Lex CAMESI is in the body shop business when he's at home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a 541 cubic inch motor, runs on carburetors and gasoline, but tonight the man has to conquer 200 foot of the best clay in America.
And he's got to go the full distance.
Let's Let's see which side of the track that Lex CAMESI takes tonight. He could go right down the middle or very possibly go to one side or the other. Lex is a good driver.
Look, he's going to wind up just shy of the 190-foot mark on the track.
Well, that 190-foot mark has been a mark that over the last few trucks has just kind of turned into a steel wall right there. The movers just don't seem to be able to get by it. 187 feet, 8.5 inches for the Iron City Express truck of Lex CAMESI. There's Kevin Hussman out of Cedar Lake, Indiana. Now, Kevin's got a screwdriver in his hand, and he's actually putting the screwdriver down into the track. And what he's doing for it is looking for places with the most resistance to that screwdriver going down in the track. He's trying to find the place for the most traction.
Bob Kurt, Mike Galloway with you. We're at the Riverfront Coliseum here in Cincinnati, Ohio, for the Budweiser United States Hot Rod Association Truck and Tractor Pull. We're in the 6,200-pound modified truck class right now, and Dan Coelho getting a second shot here now as he backs up to the sled to hook up Wild Hare.
Here's Dan Coelho with the Wild Hare truck. With the Budweiser Circuit of Champions, this gentleman was number 2 in the nation last year. Makes his home in Turlock, California. He builds trailers, Danco trailers, out in Turlock, California. Runs a Dodge truck, a big Dodge. This is the same type engine that is in the funny cars that go over 250 miles an hour and the dragsters that go over 280 miles an hour. Dan Coelho just would like to go 20 miles an hour and 200 feet.
Now we'll see whether he can do it, because he has to go the full 200 feet to qualify for the pull-off. That 190-foot barrier comes into effect. He was battling all the way down the track, first going to the left side, Mike, and then over to the right.
Well, Dan Coelho rolls with the sled, and right there's when Dan gets on the Wild Hare truck real hard. About that time, the truck darts to the left-hand side of the track, and Dan is doing all he can do to keep the truck between the white lines. When the truck comes back around and starts to mind the conditions, it'll go back across the track, back to the left-hand side, and almost angle out the full pull mark.
190 feet, 8 inches.
190 feet, 8 inches for Dan Coelho and the Wild Hare.
Well, here we are so far, and what's interesting is the three that had the full pulls, they were among the first 4 trucks to go off. No one has had a full pull since then.
3 full pulls at the Bear at 197 feet, 2 inches. Red Rabbit at 190 feet, 11 inches. Dan's second truck, Wild Hare, at 190 feet, 8 inches. And then Carl Bidwell at 190 feet, 1.5 in the Chevy National. You're also going to notice that the trucks are very close grouped tonight.
For commentator Mike Galloway. Here's Harry Dukeldale in perpetual motion. We're going to get a good look here at Harry, too.
A flip-top funny truck, and Harry's going to let all the crowd see just what it takes to put one of these modified trucks through the paces. This is a brand new 1985 Ford Ranger truck. Harry's sitting right in the middle of it. And you know, this perpetual motion truck is a very tough-running Ford truck. The mark to beat, well, there's not a mark to beat. It's all tied up with 3 trucks going full pull. Harry, by the way, works construction. He's a pipe fitter by profession. And this new little Ford truck has just been out on the circuit for about a year and a half now. Let's see if he can't take it all the way out the end. At the current time, we're sitting with 3 trucks out, and all 3 of those trucks are Chevrolet powered trucks. It'd be nice to put a Ford right there in amongst the competition.
You know, this Harry goes into the competition knowing exactly what he has to do.
That's for sure. A full pull is a mandatory situation. Harry's been at the sport for quite some time, but he's always been in the modified truck class. He's always been a strong competitor, no matter what track or where he is.
actual motion looks to have gone about 160 feet. And so we still have our three leaders, Southern Bell, MOTOWN Missile, and YANMAR. This event tonight in Cincinnati is part of a circuit of pulling, racing, and crushing events sponsored by the United States Hot Rod Association. And reporter Jim Duff is finding out just how popular this sport is.
Even at a tender age, people seem to be fascinated by speed and power, the science of moving an object from one point to another. No one realized that more than a man named Bob George. And about 12 years ago, he hit upon the idea of moving truck and tractor pulls inside empty arenas around the country. He envisioned a new American pastime and thousands of screaming fans. Many laughed then, but they aren't laughing now, as truck and tractor pulls are here to stay.
I'm in the mood to tear it up. I'm in my prime to tearing it up. I say tearing up that stuff. I just can't tear it up enough.
Being indoors is kind of skyrocketed. You know, the people got cabin fever. They're sitting in the house. There's 16 foot of snow outside, and what do we do now? So,
as events director for the United States Hot Rod Association, Ken Donay will help supervise more than 250 truck and tractor pulls this year. He estimates that more than 5 million people will pay to watch monster trucks and tractors with souped-up engines perform in arenas from coast to coast and as far north as Canada.
This is definitely a sport. We have, in a very serious sport, these guys that are out here have got big dollars, okay? To compete, they start at $75,000 and up.
They used to pull in front of 300 or 400 people at a county fair, and now we come and pull in front of 10,000 people or so. It's amazing.
As you can see, the drivers aren't the only ones who find this sport amazing. Fans, like this woman, can't seem to get enough of it. Promoters say attendance has increased some 15% a year for each of the last 3 years. Back in 1985, for instance, an all-time record crowd of 72,000 packed Michigan's Pontiac Silverdome to witness the orgy of sound and fury so unique to this sport.
It's the first time. It's great, though.
Why?
The noise and the fumes, and it's different entertainment.
Pretty neat. It's loud, noisy, but it's neat.
I like the power. I like the noise. It's awesome.
The subculture that hangs out and participates in this thing is sort of interesting.
I like the noise, and I like how these tractor guys just pull their stuff up, and they go real fast, and the mud is flying everywhere.
And with that sort of enthusiasm, promoters feel confident that in the future, even more people will take that first step, becoming hooked on a sport featuring big men and big engines, plowing new ground in arenas all over the country and eventually the world.
When you're putting 15,000, 18,000 people in a one-night show in your normal type arena, and then you come back 2 years later and you put in 18,000 times 2 or times 3, well, it's definitely serious.
I just can't tear it up enough.
Most successful in
And with some sports term overtime, we term it a pull-off. And we'll start with Southern Bell out of Pocahontas, Illinois. One of 3 trucks to go for the distance the first time, Mike. Now, as you mentioned, again, the sled has been changed.
Change the weight box will come up the ramp a lot quicker and transfer it over into that pan a lot faster. Now, Gerald made the statement, you've got to get everything you can get in the first 50 feet. It'll be real interesting to watch his driving style tonight as he rolls the slack out of the chain and heads towards the end. He will leave the mark for the other 2 gentlemen to try to surpass. Let's see how the Southern Bell does tonight.
Would there be a favorite?
Not at this point. I wouldn't think so. It'll be close all the way.
Here we go with Southern Bell. Something happened there.
Something happened there, and I don't know whether it is an oil pressure problem but I do know that Gerald backed out of the motor. The motor still had horsepower, and it was still going down the track, but Gerald, for some reason, saw fit to shut off. He backed out of it right there, close to that 100-foot mark. He knows he's in the pull-off. He knows he's in one of the top 3 positions for this evening, but I think there's some mechanical problems that we can't see in that Southern Belle truck.
Well, here's Joe Gilbert's truck, the MOTOWN Missile, trying to beat 99 feet, we're told, the time, or the distance, rather, for Southern Belle. I understand it was a transmission problem of sorts, so we'll see what the MOTOWN Missile can do here, Mike.
Joe Gilbert's truck, his son, Tim, a fine rookie, doing a great job tonight. I tell you what, he has proved himself to be one of the big powers in the young up-and-comers in pulling, because Tim is one of the 3 that made a full pull. Let's see how he does. MOTOWN Missile, I believe the young man should do it.
Better than 150 feet, and again, you can see that weight transfer machine moving much quicker here in the pull-off.
I tell you what, Tim drove every ounce of horsepower out of that truck. Just a picture-perfect job of driving on behalf of the MOTOWN Missile. Well, here's Tim in the instant replay, and let's see how he does. You notice right here the tires break loose. When they do that, they start stacking the clay up in front of the sled. Tim having a little bit of a problem keeping control of the truck, but every time he does that, he's gaining a lot of power and a lot of momentum. Look at that 6-pack of Budweiser going up to the top of the ramp, and Tim's got the motor wide open and screaming down the track. A beautiful job for Tim and a great pull.
Let's see what the measurement is. 169 feet, 10.5 inches. You're right. I think that's going to be a pretty tough mark to beat. Here we are, Riverfront Coliseum, Cincinnati, Ohio, and the pull-off is on the line right here. 169, 10.5 inches, the mark to beat. As Dave Mason from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, backs up Yanmar.
Dave Mason is in the soft drink distributing portion where he makes his living. He makes his enjoyment out of truck pulling. Now, this is a 572 cubic inch all-aluminum Rodak motor that has carried the Yanmar truck into the pull-off, and a Rodak is an aluminum version of a big block Chevrolet, a very expensive motor. And one thing about the boys with the Yanmar truck, they do every bit of it. They paint the truck, they have built the engine, they've done all the work on this truck, so it's going to be a real sense of achievement for these gentlemen tonight. They've qualified for this pull-off, and they've got a very good shot at winning it all.
Well, let's see who our winner is, whether it is Dave Mason or whether it's Tim Gilbert. Dave Mason sitting down there with the sled, knowing exactly how far he has to go. He has to better 169 feet, 10.5 inches. He's going to be able to do it, and it looks like Tim Gilbert in MOTOWN Missile will win the pull-off. Well, there's your winner in the pull-off, the MOTOWN Missile, 169 feet, 10.5 inches. Yanmar second, and Southern Belle finishing third in the pull-off. But the winner, the MOTOWN Missile, Joe Gilbert's truck, driven by son Tim tonight out of Gaines, Michigan, our winner at 169 feet, 10.5 inches. MOTOWN Missile, the winner, driven by Tim Gilbert. He's standing downstairs along with Mike Galloway. Let's go down.
Well, I'm with Tim and Joe Gilbert, MOTOWN Missile. And Tim, how'd the truck feel on the last pass tonight?
Well, it felt pretty good. It ran good. I took the left side of the track and it hooked up and it pulled good.
Excellent job. And one question, Joe, are you proud of the boy?
Oh, yeah, he does a good job of driving. I wouldn't let him behind the wheel.
Well, let's send it back up to the booth and Bob.
Well, we're back upstairs here. One of the things that's interesting when you come to one of these events is it is loud. That is the first thing you're going to notice, particularly when it's inside. Now, what you can do to combat that is if you go to a novelty stand, they'll sell in a little box just like this. These are earplugs. And you open it up, and out comes a little thing like this, and you just take it, and you stick it in your ear, and that's hopefully the end of the noise. We'll be back with more right after this. Back here at the Riverfront Coliseum, Cincinnati, Ohio. Coming up next is the exhibition class of vehicle. My partner, Mike Galloway, is standing downstairs. Trackside, he's going to tell us what it's all about.
Well, Bob, we're getting ready for some exhibition vehicles, and they're working the track over, packing things down, and I want you to stand by because we've got some of the wildest vehicles that's ever been on a pulling track coming up right now.
Bob Kurtz, Mike Galloway here, exhibition class, Riverfront Coliseum, Cincinnati, Ohio. We have Alan Gaines out of Georgetown, Kentucky, as you look at the Orange Blossom Special. $75,000. And we'll see what the Orange Blossom Special can do with the weight transfer machine. Round of applause for the Orange Blossom Special driven by Alan Gaines in our exhibition class. Well, here's the Jackrabbit driven by George Coda out of Turlock, California.
This is a 1963 Freightliner. This truck originally began life as the haul truck for Dan Coelho's modified pulling truck. This is the one that pulls the trailer that the trucks traveled across the country on. One winter not too many years ago, they took the motor out of one of the modified pulling trucks and put it in their over-the-road truck. Now he runs exhibition. George Cotto does the driving, and this is one wild 1963 Freightliner.
There's the horn.
Watch the front end get real high on the Jackrabbit.
Jackrabbit driven by George Coda, Turlock, California.
By the way, the Jackrabbit has a 440 cubic inch Dodge motor right underneath that cab of the Jackrabbit.
Welcome back, Riverfront Coliseum, Cincinnati, Ohio. 7,200-pound hot rod dragster tractors. We're going to really turn it up in here now. That is Dusty AAFONS, who is known as the Dragon Lady. She is from Akron, Ohio. She's been at pulling she's 20 years old. She's been pulling 3 years. And that is her father, Art. You've seen a lot of father-son. This is father-daughter.
I'll tell you what, Dusty is a very intricate part of this. He's firing up these are General Electric turbine engines. They're TH-53s. They're used on a big helicopter that the military uses to move around tanks and heavy equipment in the air. It's got a 1,000cc Kawasaki motor. Right there's a shot of that 1,000cc Kawasaki. That turns a pump that starts the motor. It works off of a hydrostatic drive and also backs the tractor to the sled. Now, when the two-headed green monster is ready to go down the track, you're going to see fire come out of those exhausts. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Art's been pulling for 15 years, and he's 60 years of age. He is a fine, fine competitor. Runner-up for the national championship in 1986.
This is the Green Monster, driven by Art AAFONS out of Akron, Ohio.
Of course, Art AAFONS held the world's land speed record for a short period of time. Getting ready for fire in a hole. Here comes the Green Monster. They will have the weight box in a very fast gear. That weight box will be moving up. Look at that. Oh, my heavens, is that unbelievable? Here we go.
What happened there, Mike?
loaded the rear end on the left rear tire, and when it did, all the traction broke loose.
There's one thing I noticed, Mike. There's not a lot of tread, it doesn't look like, on the back of the tires of Art Arfon's machine.
Well, it takes two men 2 full 8-hour days to cut all of the lug off of the tire. The reason being behind this is that it throws less dirt up in front of the sled and makes it easier to pull. Now you can see right there on that shot that Art has stacked up very little dirt in front of the sled. The tire's turning 100 miles an hour, and they're getting their maximum traction right there and throwing little dirt behind him and making the sled that much easier to pull.
There's the measurement for the Green Monster, 139 feet 1 inch. Well, we saw Daddy Art Arfons, and this is the Dragon Lady, Dusty Arfons. One of the great stories in sports.
Well, this young lady is a true fine competitor. She is the only lady tractor puller on the professional circuit. Now, she also has a General Electric turbine engine, but the engine in this helicopter is much like the helicopters that you see the news teams. And so many of the stations across America right now are using the jet helicopters to get their news teams to the scene immediately. Dusty uses this engine to get the sled to the scene of the track real quick.
One of a family sport. Of course, there's Art, who's been pulling for 15 years, Dusty for 3, and her fiance built the track.
Randy Spragan, the young gentleman that laid the track down and did all the preparation on the pull surface here tonight. Dusty's fiance, and Randy did an outstanding job with a tremendous surface tonight. Let's see if it'll give any advantage to Dusty Arfons and her jet tractor.
You can bet if he could, he would, huh?
Beautiful shot of the Dusty Arfons. This young lady is just stunning and a fine competitor. She's learning, been at it 3 years and doing an outstanding job.
Here's the Dragon Lady, Dusty Arfons.
As she rolls the slack out of the chain, there's no jerk starts in the pulling world. There's the searchlight on. We'll wait. She's got fire in the hole of the Dragon Lady. She's ready to go. By the way, Bob, marshmallows and hot dogs roasted over that fire have a tendency to taste a lot like jet fuel.
I would imagine somewhere around 125 to 130 feet, Mike. Well, there's the distance for the Dragon Lady, 120 feet, 9.5 inches, so she winds up about 19 feet shy of Daddy Art. Well, you want noise? Noise coming up. You want engines? I think Mike Hoff has enough of them there out of Westminster, Maryland, driving Big Blue.
Triple engine Big Blue, Mr. Bad, Mike Hoff out of Westminster, Maryland. In the Maryland area, he's known as the KB Kid, and these are considered Keith Black Hemi engines.
Will we find out if the sled is too heavy?
We're going to find out right this minute whether the sled is too heavy or not. This guy is capable of going 200 feet and then some. He is a great, great competitor. He is a past national champion with this tractor. One thing about Mike Hoff, he's very, very consistent. He runs the tractor when he goes to the sled is always in the top condition. Maximum performance will be coming out of these triple engines in just a moment. Watch Mike Hoff slack out of the chain and it's business.
Well, he's got to beat 139.1 by Art Arfons. Not a full pull, but it's mighty close as he just about took it the length of the track.
One thing about it, Bob, Mike made a picture-perfect pull. As he left of the sled, the tires came up, gave him that weight transfer to the rear tires, and got the maximum traction and the maximum horsepower out of those 3 blown motors as he went down the track. Truly a beautiful job of pulling and driving on the part of Mike Hoff. Let's take a look right here.
Look at the speed of those tires.
Mike's probably turning the tires about 96 or 7 miles an hour. Watch the red spot right in the middle of the motor. Getting into them real slow, and right there he just lowers the boom on it. He's got a great pass. Now here again you see these tires with little or no tread on them. kicking up very little dirt, stacking it in front of the sled, and Mike's doing a beautiful job. Front end about a foot off the ground, carrying it just perfect. Right there, the big 60,000-pound weight transfer machine starts putting the pressure on him.
Well, he had to beat 139 1-inch by Art Arfons. Dusty went 120 feet 9.5 inches.
193 feet, 9.5 inches.
193 feet 9.5 inches for Big Blue, driven by Mike Hoff. So we have a new leader here among the 7,200-pound tractors. This is the Dirt Slinger, driven by Bill Leischner out of Weldon, Illinois. His father, Willie, is also on the crew. And they have to shoot at 193 feet 9.5 inches, set by Big Blue and Mike Hoff.
This is a brand new tractor for Bill and his crew, and it's very, very tough competitor. Now, these are 3 aluminum Hemi head Aries engines. These are very, very expensive, probably between $30,000 and $35,000 a piece. But they put out a tremendous amount of horsepower. They have a Chevrolet design block with a Chrysler type head bolted to them. They're very, very dependable, and they build very big horsepower. These guys could take it all the way out on the Dirt Slinger.
Just about going to have to take it all the way out to beat 193 feet 9.5 inches. Bill Leischner out of Weldon, Illinois. For the Dirt Slinger. Bill Leischner from Weldon, Illinois, takes it right down to the end of the arena here at the Riverfront Coliseum.
And when Bill put all 3 of those motors together at the same time, you can see the horsepower and the tire speed, the ground speed that was needed to make that full pull. A great job. The box topped out way down the track. Bill had the hammer down on it. The front end was up, and a tremendous job. Just absolutely outstanding. Look at this. Right here, Bill rolls with the sled. He's easing into it, trying to get a little bit of momentum, and right there he showers down hard on the Dirt Slinger 2, up in the air, and he is going for a full pull. This young man's got the motors wide open, turning the tires right at that 100-mile-an-hour mark, trying to steer with the front end, and it's just not doing any good when it's up in the air. But Bill, there's the box topping out at 150 foot. He drug it over 50 foot with 60,000 pounds right behind him. All the pressure in the world couldn't have stopped him on that pass.
Longest pull tonight, most noise tonight. Up course, Mike Galloway here, Riverfront Coliseum, Cincinnati, Ohio. And so far in our tractor pull distance tonight, Dirt Slinger 2 with the full pull, the lone one so far. Big Blue at 193 feet, 9.5 inches. The Green Monster, driven by Art Arfons at 139.1, and then the Dragon Lady, driven by Daughter Dusty. As we turn now to Rambunctious and Milt Bergman out of Fort Recovery, Ohio.
Quite a combination with Milt Bergman's Rambunctious. His tractor runs through a true farm-type tractor rear end, a Moline rear end. But he has a 1,710 cubic inch Allison and an Oldsmobile.
Gonna fall short. That has just passed the 100 feet. And so Bill Leischner, still the lone tractor so far with a full pull.
I believe Milt Bergman may have broke some parts on that class, because the tractor, anytime you see one of them jump up like that after the sled's been on it, it's going down the track and something jumps up. He's broke a coupler or broke something in the rear end that let go and stopped his momentum right there.
And our next one now, the BIONIC BUZZARD, Jan Schmiesing out of Sydney, Ohio.
Quite a combination, as Jan Schmiesing runs an alcohol-injected Allison, but it runs 2 superchargers on it. He can actually increase and decrease his horsepower by adding fluid to the torque converter, but he must do that before he pulls on the track. Then his helper motor, the motor that gets the tractor to and from the sled, is a 454 cubic inch Chevrolet engine. So it's a double engine, 12 cylinders in the front motor, 8 cylinders in the back motor, and horsepower all over the place.
And again, he's got to go the distance. just never got going.
The BIONIC Buzzard is not sounding too healthy tonight. The Buzzard in a little bit of trouble when the sled left the starting line area. The motors wasn't sounding just right, and I know Jan would like to have that one over again, but in the pulling world, it's a one-shot combination. It's
That's
over.
your first, right?
That's it.
Here's Gordon Lutke out of New Brennan, Ohio, in the Devil Buster.
Allison with a Ford motor. Allison aircraft runs through an individual clutch, and the big Ford motor runs through an automatic transmission. He's fired the big Allison up. Mark the beat, well, you've got to go out the gate. 200 feet down the track. It's over with and done, and we've forced it into a pull-off.
The last shot the field has at Bill Leischner and Dirt Slinger. And the Devil Buster will come up short, and Bill Leischner from Weldon, Illinois, in Dirt Slinger will be the winner of the 7,200-pound tractor competition.
You know, one thing about Bill and this brand-new tractor, Bob, it's something really new and unique. Anytime you come out with a pulling tractor and the first time you go to the sled with it, you win a pull of this magnitude, it's really a very, very exciting day for the pullers and for the competitors.
Here's your results now in the modified tractor competition. Dirt Slinger 2. Bill Leischner with the full pull to win the event. The new and improved Rambunctious, 198 feet, 11 inches. Then comes Big Blue, followed by the Green Monster, the Dragon Lady, Dusty AAFONS, the Devil Buster, Rambunctious, and Bionic Buzzard. So that's the tractor pull result here tonight from the Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati, Ohio. What we have here is the Budweiser boss.
Gary Collins, El Dorado Springs, Missouri. And Bob, I'd venture to say this is probably the most powerful pulling vehicle in America. That four-wheel drive pulling vehicle in America, the Budweiser boss, and watch this guy. Two supercharged alcohol-burning motors, each one of them pounding out about 1,700 horsepower. It is one bad Budweiser boss. Gary Collins, probably the toughest thing to come down the road in many a year.
When it comes down the road, what kind of gas mileage does he get?
Well, the EPA is not exactly excellent on it. 268 gallons of fuel per mile on the Budweiser boss.
268 gallons of fuel to go 1 mile?
To go 1 mile.
I hope he's not planning on driving back home to El Dorado Springs.
The boss will never see the highway.
Either that or he'd see a lot of gas stations.
Maybe he's got that six-pack of Budweiser on the back of it full of fuel.
Is the sled a match for the Budweiser boss?
This is quite the combination. They'll put the weight on the boss in a hurry. Gary runs exhibition because of the twin motors and the weight of the truck. Watch the weight box and watch the Budweiser boss. This is quite a combination. Gary Collins, Budweiser boss in the sled.
That. Did you see how fast that weight transfer machine transferred that six-pack of Budweiser to the front? And he still pulled the distance.
Not only that, but he did it in great style. The motors never faltered. There's Gary Collins out of El Dorado Springs driving a Budweiser boss. And, you know, that's quite a great way to end the evening.
The Budweiser boss to close the show here at the Riverfront Coliseum.
Well, here's the Budweiser boss, and I'm telling you, an awesome display of horsepower as Gary Collins takes the boss and the sled all the way out the end. What a tremendous way to end the evening right here. Great pull.
Now, for the first time, Minnesota Dirt Slinger here tonight at Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati. Bill Leischner, the driver, and he wins the modified tractor competition. And nothing left to do now, Mike, except clean up the dirt here at Riverfront Coliseum and move on to the next step.
Well, I'll tell you what, they had a tremendous round of competition here tonight. The modified trucks were just outstanding. And in this modified tractor class, Bill showed them what the horsepower was all about. Great show.
I enjoyed myself, and I hope you did too. We'll see you next time. Good night from Cincinnati.
Brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beer. For all you do, this Bud's for you.
This has been a presentation of Bud Sports through the facilities of ESPN.